It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the award-winning show that covers fishing, hunting, and all sorts of outdoor recreation here in the Great Northwest. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, a legacy of innovation since 1969, by Loophole Optics, America's optical authority, by Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors, by Wallowa County, nature is on display in Northeast Oregon, and by The Real News, your fishing resource. Also by Shiloh Inns and Suites, providing you with affordable excellence, and by Mardon Resort, the place for fishing, hunting, and more in Eastern Washington. And now, it's time to head outside with your host, John Cruz.
How was your Christmas? I hope it was a good one, full of cheer, and that you're ready for a new year because it is coming up really quick. One thing you'll want to do during the new year is buy some new licenses, hunting licenses, fishing licenses, Discover passes if you live in Washington State, the passports for state parks in Idaho, perhaps Forest Service recreation passes. Oh my, you gotta love these user fees, but if it helps, it is our fees that help keep the public lands we love open to us, the public that uses them. It's also time to report tags. Big game and turkey tag reports are due in Oregon by January 31st, and if you don't report, you'll be paying a $25 fine when you buy your deer or elk tag next year. Oregon's not the only state that uses a stick to get hunters to report their harvest. Washington tacks on a $10 fine to your hunting license if you don't report by the 31st, and in Idaho, you don't get fined, but if you report your harvest early, you are entered into a drawing where 10 special big tags are going to be given out. Why are the states doing this? Simple. They need the harvest data to make sound decisions about upcoming hunting seasons. So, no matter what state you live in, do your part and report how things went to your Fish and Game department. For our final show of 2014, we're going to be talking late-season duck hunting and conservation with Mond Warren, the Regional Director of Ducks Unlimited in Idaho. Professional walleye tournament champion Johnny Candle joins us after that for an extended Max Minute. And then we'll be heading to the Oregon coast where Renee Fowler, an interpretive ranger with Oregon State Parks, is going to tell you about the winter whale watching week going on this week. If you want to see the whales, lots of whales, and learn about them from volunteers and staff members, this is the week to head to the Oregon coast to do it. We'll continue with wildlife watching by telling you about a couple of great Northwest destinations where you can see a whole bunch of bald eagles, and a Montana destination that offers fabulous opportunities to see big game animals up close. And no, we're not talking about Yellowstone. After that, we're going to be talking walleye fishing again, this time with Tom Moore at Griggs and Pasco. Turns out there are some really big walleye being caught out of the Columbia River right now, and Tom is going to tell you where to find them and how to catch them. Throw in some upcoming events to include a preview of several January sportsman shows, and we've got a lot of fun stuff headed your way as we wrap up the year. But first, David Sparks has got a suggestion for you upland bird hunters on Sportsman Spotlight this week. Sportsman Spotlight is brought to you by Shiloh Inn and Suites, the hotel chain that lives up to its motto of providing affordable excellence not only during the holiday season, but every day of the year.
Fly feathers, David Sparks, Sportsman Spotlight. Our friend Josh Mills has a great idea for flies.
You know, I'm always in search of some better fly tying materials for when I'm making, especially steelhead flies. And I've found one of the coolest things that I can do is upcycling, I guess if you will, or recycling the feathers from the birds that I shoot in the fall. Pheasants, for instance, have tremendous feathers. I mean, think of all the colors that are across a male pheasant. And there are hundreds of different flies that take those feathers. And I've been tying them a lot in some traditional style steelhead flies that have been really nice and effective, because whether you're taking pheasant stuff off the pheasant tail, the rump patch is exceptional, the side breasts are exceptional, and even parts of the back of the neck and underneath the wing, they all produce a different kind of fiber, and the way that the colors and tones, each one seems to be a little bit different, but they're so rich in palette colors. You also, if you're a bird hunter and you like to fish, and if you go out and shoot a grouse, rough grouse are tremendous. I haven't had a blue grouse in a couple of years, so I can't speak to that. But Hungarian partridge, for instance, which is another great game bird, have amazing soft hackle feathers that are tremendous in trout flies. Additionally, quail, it's all right. It's just they tend to be a little bit smaller. But pheasant, oh my gosh, I've got bags of them at my house, and every time that we get one, I find it's another way to honor the bird that gave its life for our sport.
Nice ending thought. How'd it go, Josh? This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
Confused by so many national brand hotel reward programs? Blackout dates, expiration dates, different points for different hotel rewards, and gimmicks? At Shiloh Inn Suites Hotels, it's simple. No blackout dates for any rewards stay. If we have a room available, it's yours. Hi, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. As a rewards member, you'll receive free room upgrades, a dedicated personal agent to help book your stay, points that don't expire, points that can be used for free nights at any one of our beautiful hotels, or donations to your local school or free airline tickets, and much more. And as a special bonus, you'll earn 100 free bonus points just for signing up. From your very first stay, you receive free Wi-Fi, free breakfast at most locations. The kids stay free. We don't charge ridiculous resort or parking fees, and we're dog-friendly. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American-owned and proud of it.
I'm Bob Loomis, and I fish for walleye. Sometimes when I'm out on the water, I feel like a destroyer captain hunting for targets with my electronics. I'm not hunting submarines, though. I'm hunting fish, and when I find that big one on the fish finder, I want to make sure she's going to bite. That's where the Smile Blade Slow Death Rig from Max Lure comes in. The Smile Blade spins and flashes at ultra-slow speeds, and the one-of-a-kind red hook keeps that bait moving in a way the fish can't resist. It's the Smile Blade Slow Death Rig, only from Max Lure.
It's getting frustrating as I thought to myself, were they coming at all? I blew 3 quick blasts on my wooden goose call. Rain still pouring, it was getting boring. Then I thought I caught a sight of something soaring. A big flock of geese I could barely see. They were coming straight in, shaped like a V. I got myself ready, held my gun steady. A couple seconds more, oh my hands are getting sweaty. I should wait a little longer, but what's the use? I put a finger on the trigger and bust the goose.
Will you shot it? Will you got it? Will you hit it? So go
Just bust the goose.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We are in the heart of waterfowling season, and with us here to talk about late season waterfowling is Mond Warren. He's the regional director of Ducks Unlimited in Idaho. Mond, it's been too long. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Glad to be here.
Let's go ahead and start off with a really quick question. How has duck and goose hunting gone so far for hunters out there in the Gem State?
John, I think it's been a great year. We've had some really good reports, primarily with that early freeze we had. You know, in November we had temperatures down in the teens and below that, and it really brought a good new push of birds in, and people were doing well. We had reports of lots of birds, lots of success, and it was a great waterfowl season in November. I think people were having good success.
Well, moving into December, I understand you just had a pretty successful goose hunt yourself, didn't you?
I went out. We had a good hunt. It was the first time I'd been out in the field hunting in layout blinds, and we had a pretty successful hunt for geese, and it was good to get out.
Were they big ones or small ones when it came to the geese, the lessers or the graders?
These are the graders, and we had some big birds coming in.
Oh, that is always a ton of fun when they set those wings and you get to sit up in that layout blind and go ahead and plug a few. It doesn't get much better than that. Let's go ahead and talk about, the last month of the season. Where are some places in Idaho people ought to consider going if they want to get into the ducks or geese?
John, it's really going to be weather dependent, I think. It's hopefully we'll start to see the temperatures drop, and if we do, and we'll start to see probably some better success. I'd like to see some more weather up north. Keep pushing birds this way. I think there's a lot of birds that haven't arrived that are coming. We need the weather to push them through. So that's going to be the biggest issue right now to determine where to go. Is going to be weather and finding the birds. If we can get some cold weather, I'd suggest hunting the rivers and the hot water areas because things will start freezing. I think it'll congregate the birds more. If it stays warm, I think they're going to be spread out. They have a lot more food sources to find. So you have to find the birds in the next month, and weather's going to really help with that.
The Snake River has traditionally been a real hot spot for late-season waterfowling, hasn't it?
It has. In southeast Idaho, I think that's one of the primary places right now is the Snake River. American Falls right now has a bunch of birds on it. A lot of guys are hitting that Snake River, hunting the fields just off of the reservoir or the river.
And moving up north towards, the Moscow, Lewiston area, are we also talking about basically hunting the Snake River from blinds out there?
You get up north, and the guys are hunting. There's some refuges up there that they can hunt, some Ducks Unlimited projects up there that they can hunt. a lot of guys are finding success on the St. Joe and some of the river systems up there, even on the reservoirs, the lakes, the big lakes. Even as it starts freezing, I've got some guys that are doing really well hunting off the ice up there on the lake. So there's a lot of water up there, a lot of areas to find birds, and just last week, talking to the guys up there, they're just seeing lots of mallards, lots of birds, and having some really good success.
Well, there you go. Let's go ahead and talk about late-season tactics that'll work not just in Idaho, but anywhere that you're hunting ducks and geese here in the Northwest. If you were to give somebody, just a couple of tips to help them get more birds as we go into this last month of the season, what would you tell them?
Change it up. Try something different. Birds are going to be a little bit more wary. Find out where they want to be and be there. Try something different. If it's not working, change it up.
So when you say when it's not working, change it up, I understand, these birds have been called at a lot at this point. They've seen the same, decoy spreads with that little gap in the middle, or the J-hook decoy spread. So are you talking fewer decoys, more decoys, less calling? What kind of changes exactly would you recommend?
It's going to depend on where you're at and what you're doing. If I'm out in the goose field, I'm gonna spread the geese out more, make it more comfortable. The height is going to be key. They're going to be looking for those layout blinds. They're going to be looking for the pits. Just spread it out. Try less calling. Really play that wind. If you got a good wind, get away from your decoys and play that wind, so that they're going to oftentimes land away from your decoys. And if you can play that right, you're going to be right where they want to be.
There you go. Some good advice, folks, wherever you're hunting this winter. Again, we're talking to Mond Warren. He's the regional director for Ducks Unlimited in the great state of Idaho. And I guess I got to ask you, what has DU been up to in the Gem State this year?
John, we got some exciting projects in Idaho going on right now. Those up north on the Lake Pend Oreille. At this moment, we're working on that Clark Fork Delta. It's a big project. Ducks Unlimited was contracted by Fish and Game to come in and restore that delta back into natural habitat. $3 to $6 million project. It's going to take a little while, but once it's done, it's going to be an amazing habitat for waterfowl. It's going to hold a lot of birds in there, and it's going to be just great hunting in there.
Wow! Now, is this an area that people are going to be able to hunt, or is this more of a refuge area?
It is. It's all public access. You can hunt that lake, and I've had some guys hunting it right. This year before the restoration's been done, and they've been doing pretty good. So I'm excited to see it once the restoration's done and the habitat gets back in place, and it really makes a good place for the birds to be.
Sounds fantastic. Any other projects going on?
We're hopefully putting the final stages on eastern Idaho. Market Lake Ranch out there in eastern Idaho and the Market Lake area. We're doing a lot of work with Fish and Game, and I'm really excited because here in the next few years, that area is going to change, and it's going to be better hunting. It's going to be a lot more habitat, hopefully more access for people out there. They're doing a lot of work out in the Market Lake area, so I'm excited to see that when it's done also.
And for those that are not familiar with it, this is something you guys have been working on for a couple of years now. This is a former private ranch that's been transformed into public land, or at least an area with public access and a lot of restoration.
On that Market Lake Ranch out there, it's a really nice place. We're doing a lot of work in the entire area, but that place is open for public hunting right now. There's a post there that has some regulations and maps of the property. You can go in and hunt upland birds, waterfowl, and hoping our biologists are looking at a 5-year plan on that, and hopefully a state agency or somebody will pick that up towards public access and be a great place to go get in the outdoors and do some hunting.
I love to hear this. Combining both conservation and public access, it doesn't get much better than that. But folks, this costs money, and it's not like money grows on trees or in the marshes, I should say. So let's talk about the fundraising banquets. That's kind of the fuel that provides money for you guys to do these great things. Are there a couple coming up, I presume, in January?
We do. We have a couple of events in January. We've got the Big Eagle event in southwest Idaho is coming up January 10th. For those that want to come see a fun event in Hagerman, Idaho, we have a waterfowl party on the 17th. The Burley event's going to be the last weekend in January, and then starting February, they're going to be all over. So check the website at ducks.org and look for the events. Come to an event, help us out. Most importantly, if you're a waterfowler, help give back to the resource and get on a committee and help us plan the event. I think that's the most important thing is having people sitting at the table, helping us plan these events and having a successful fundraising event.
Amen. Couldn't agree more, Mond. Again, the website is ducks.org. It doesn't get much easier than that, ducks.org. Just go to the events page. You're going to find banquets taking place near you, no matter where you live in the Northwest. They actually happen in all 50 states and in Canada as well. And it's a great opportunity to go have fun and go ahead and maybe, win some great gear, some great prizes and raffles and auctions, and to give back so that we can go ahead and conserve habitat and conserve ducks here in North America. Mond, thanks so much for joining us again on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
I'd like to tell you I just brought down that buck, but I didn't. I missed. And you know why I missed? Because of the scope I've got on my rifle. You see, my friends told me to get a Leupold rifle scope. Why? Well, because Leupold is America's optical authority. They make a huge variety of quality scopes for every need, and they make them right here in the Northwest. Unfortunately, I didn't listen. I used the cheap scope that came with this rifle when I bought it. And when it came time to pull the trigger, well, let's just say things were a little blurry. Now, I've got nothing to look forward to except a long, empty-handed walk back home. Next time I come out into the field, there's going to be a Leupold scope on my rifle. And next time, I'm not going to miss.
Leupold rifle scopes. Check out the whole line at leupold.com and look for them at a sporting goods store near you.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
From Max Lure Company, and we've got somebody special with us today. It's Johnny Candle, the winner of the 2010 World Walleye Championship. Now, Johnny, you fish a lot of tournaments all over North America, and I know you love to use Max Lure. So when you're fishing unfamiliar waters, tell us about a couple lures that you like to use.
Well, the whole key with the Max Lures and walleye fishing is the Smile blade, and two of their pre-tied rigs that work really well are the Slow Death rig and the Wally Pop. Where you find a difference between the two is the size of forage you're trying to imitate. The Slow Death rig is designed to use a half a nightcrawler, where the Wally Pop uses a whole nightcrawler. And it gives you nice options if they're feeding on smaller forage, young of the year minnows, things along those lines, you go with that Slow Death rig. And when they're looking for bigger bait fish, maybe earlier or later in the season when the natural forage is larger, that's when I go with the Wally Pop. But both of those feature that Smile blade, and that is the key to both of those lures.
And the reason you like the Smile blade, this Mylar blade, is because it spins at ultra slow speed.
You got it. You're all over it. You must have used them yourself a few times, John. It's like I explain in my seminars. If I'm using a traditional spinner that I need to go about a mile an hour to make it spin, and I catch a lot of fish on those, don't get me wrong, but say you have a quarter of a mile of walleye water, you're only in that zone for 15 minutes for each pass. Where if I can go a quarter of a mile an hour, now I can keep my baits in front of those fish for an hour at a time before I have to turn around and go back or run upstream and make another pass. The whole key to catching more fish is being in the strike zone as long as you possibly can be, and the Smile blades let me do that.
There you go, folks. If it works for Johnny Candle, it's going to work for you. And that's an extended Max Minute from Max Lure Company. You can find Wally Pops and the Smile Blade Slow Death Rig at a store near you or at maxlure.com.
It's the holiday season, and what better way to celebrate than with a year-long subscription to The Real News? Dedicated to the accurate coverage of fishing issues throughout the Northwest, The Real News is the perfect gift for the reading angler. Just log on to therealnews.com and go to the subscription page. As a special bonus, we'll throw in a vinyl Real News sticker if you mention Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Order now and make someone happy far beyond the holidays.
It's Sportsman Show season, and two great ones are coming your way in Washington this year, courtesy of Schuler Productions. The Tri-City Sportsman Show kicks off the season at the track in Pasco from January 16th through the 18th, and the always popular Central Washington Sportsman Show returns to the Yakima Sun Dome February 20th through the 22nd. Both shows are going to have lots of guides, outfitters, and other exhibitors to include sporting goods dealers that are going to offer some great deals. There's also fun for the kids who can catch fish and more. Throw in seminars on fishing, hunting, and camp cooking, along with archery and air rifle ranges at the track for the kids, and a horn and antler competition at the Sun Dome, and you won't want to miss either show. It's the Tri-City Show, January 16th through the 18th, and the Central Washington Show, February 20th through the 22nd. We'll see you there. Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. This is a great time of year to head to the coast, especially the Oregon coast, and check out the gray whales that are migrating this time of year. With us here to tell us more about this is Renee Fowler. She's an interpretive ranger with Oregon Parks and Recreation. She's stationed at Beverly Beach State Park near Newport, and she coordinates the Whale Watching Spoken Here program. Renee, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, John. I'm very happy to be here.
Renee, this is a big week between the 26th of December and the 1st of January for whale watching. What's going on off the Oregon coast this week?
Well, thank you for asking. It is a very big, exciting week. Just following Christmas, we are heading into Winter Whale Watch Week. And what is happening is these gray whales that you spoke of, specifically Eastern Pacific gray whales, are in the midst of their southern migration. They are migrating from up in Alaska. They've been feeding all summer long in the Chukchi and Bering Sea. And most of these gray whales left at the end of October, beginning of November, and are traveling along our coastline down to Baja, California. And the reason being for this migration, they head down to their breeding and birthing grounds. And the lagoons down in Baja are nice and warm. They're safe from predators there, and that's where they're all heading at this moment. There's upward of 20,000 in the population of these gray whales that are migrating currently.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea that the gray whale population was doing so well. It wasn't that long ago that we were really concerned about this population.
That is correct. They were actually endangered for a while due to whaling, but luckily with some laws that were put in place, they are protected, and the population did peak up to 22,000 plus. And then it kind of balanced out and has been hovering around 20,000. So very, very good numbers as far as gray whales go. And we are lucky enough along the coastline to see them here in Depot Bay area around 10 months out of the year, because some of them stay around and feed right here in this area.
You know, I got to ask, how big are these whales? For those that haven't seen it before, I think they're about to be impressed by the answer.
Yes, so as far as the length of these whales, on average, we are talking about 35 feet in length. Some of the females can actually be up to 45 feet long. So those of you that have ridden a school bus know what I'm talking about. That's about the length of these whales that we're seeing. And it's nice to know what their length is because you're not going to see their full body. Typically, what you will be viewing is a spout, or we refer to it as a blow. That's when they're coming up to breathe. They're going to exhale condensed air 6 feet high in the air, and that's when they're coming up to breathe. That's what we see most frequently. So once we see that whale spout, we know there's a whale there, and we're going to be continually looking for that breathing pattern. Other sights that you might have are their back. After they spout, then they'll curve down, their head will go back down, and we'll see a back, and then possibly a tail, which we call the tail fluke, and that's 10 feet in width. And when we see that tail, we know they're going to be diving down, and we probably won't see them come up for breath for most likely 5 minutes.
Oh, fantastic. You just laid it all out there perfectly, so thank you for that.
My pleasure.
How close do these whales get to land?
You know, we're very fortunate to be able to view these gray whales along our coastline during their migration, and one of the reasons why we can see them so well is because they happen to travel close to the coastline. They don't go out very far. During the southern migration, they're going to be on average 3 to 5 miles off of the shoreline. So still in pretty close, visible with the naked eye, depending on weather conditions, of course. So you don't necessarily have to have binoculars or a really nice scope. We aren't encouraging anyone to go out and spend a whole bunch of money in order to come and whale watch. You can actually just come with whatever supplies you have. So you want to look out around 3 miles just to give you a distance off the shoreline of where you'll be seeing them.
Fantastic. And folks, you are going to see them a lot closer than that at times, especially at Depot Bay. I've had the pleasure of going to that special whale watching center you have there. Tell our listeners more about that.
So the Depot Bay Whale Watching Center is located right in the center of Depot Bay. There's only one stoplight in Depot Bay, and we are right there on the ocean side. We are currently open Wednesday through Sundays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There is no fee for entry, and you can stay as long as you'd like within our business hours. We have great viewing windows, and even this time of year, I did speak earlier that these gray whales are traveling 3 to 5 miles off the shoreline, but we have been seeing some that are in a bit closer, more like 1 mile, so it's possible to see them in a bit closer. We do have binoculars available for use in the Whale Center while you're there, and especially in December, the weather can be quite rainy, quite windy, so you're nice and sheltered. We have very knowledgeable volunteers and ranger staff to direct you to where we might possibly be seeing whales and tell you more about them.
Folks, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Renee Fowler. She's an interpretive ranger with Oregon Parks and Recreation about the Winter Whale Watching Week that's going on right now. Let's go ahead and talk about some other places along the coast that volunteers are going to be present to help people see the whales and learn more about them.
Excellent. Depot Bay is not the only location to whale watch. This Whale Watching Spoken Here program is one of the most organized whale watching programs in the U.S., and I'm lucky to be a part of it. We have enthusiastic, very knowledgeable volunteers that are stationed along the coastline, and that would be starting with Ilwaco, Washington at the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center. That's our first whale watching location, the most northern site, spreads all along the coastline down to our most southern spot, which would be Crescent City, California, and that's on 9th Street. So we have 24 different designated locations in between Ilwaco, Washington, and Crescent City, California. They all are land whale watching sites with great visibility and a wonderful view of the panoramic ocean that we have in front of us with these whales going by. And I'd like to say that we're very grateful for all of the volunteers that we have that dedicate their time and energy to station themselves at these sites from 10 to 1, and that's during our Winter Watch Week, which this season is going to be December 27th through December 31st.
Fantastic. And you're right. Hats off to all of those volunteers who are braving the elements and taking their time to go ahead and share nature with the rest of us. Another thing we ought to talk about is that you're going to see whales, but you're going to see other marine mammals too. What are some of the other marine mammals that people are likely to see along the coast this time of year?
Yes, thank you, John. I would say we're hoping to see a lot of gray whales and be so distracted by that we won't even have time to view anything else. But there are options for lots of other wildlife viewing. As far as it goes with marine mammals, we have been seeing quite a few humpbacks just recently in the beginning of December and end of November. Now, they're going to be out 5 miles plus, but the humpbacks like to breach quite a bit, which means 3/4 of their body is going to come out of the water, and you'll see a very big splash. And they have very long flippers, and they are white underneath. So that's very visible and very different from the gray whales, which have shorter flippers and are going to be gray all over their body. So humpbacks are a great possibility. They're also going to have a larger spout. It's going to be above 12 feet in the air off of the ocean surface there. We have seen blue whales. Now, that's not as frequent of a sighting, but it is a possibility. Again, they're going to be out 5+ miles off the shoreline. Outside of marine mammals, there are some other sightings that you might have if you do head over to the coast, and those would be pinnipeds, such as California sea lions, and those are going to be the males that we're seeing this time of year, along with harbor seals, which like to haul out and lay on the rocks and sunbathe if it's sunny out. They seem to haul out no matter what the weather is, though. A few other sightings you might have would be harbor porpoises, and there are quite a few seabirds out there that you could see as well.
Well, there you go, folks. Lots to see right now on the Oregon coast. Let's go ahead and give folks a website so they can find out exactly where those places are that the volunteers are going to be at during the Winter Whale Watching Week. Yes, the website that would be best to go to would be whalespoken.org.
You can also access that from OregonStateParks.org. That will give you more information about gray whales and their behaviors, along with a map to show you the 24 designated whale watching locations.
Again, that's whalespoken.org, whalespoken.org. Check it out and make plans to head to the coast. Great way to wrap up the year with some wonderful wildlife watching. Renee, thanks for telling us all about it on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
Leupold has been building optics in Oregon since 1907, and Leupold binoculars bring excellent optical performance and modern styling to the serious outdoorsman. Whether you're a boater, birder, backpacker, or hunter, Leupold's state-of-the-art binocular lines are sure to fit your needs. Visit Leupold.com or your local Cabela's, Buy Mart, or Sportsman's Warehouse to see the full line of Leupold optics.
I'm gonna jig me up a walleye from the bottom of the lake, and I'm not gonna tell you what I use for bait. I'm a jigger. I'm the best jigger around.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. It's time again for news and reports from the field, brought to you every week by Mardon Resort at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir. It's the end of the year, and that means now it's time to book your spring or summer trip at Mardon Resort. Don't wait and miss out, because the park cottages, motel rooms, the new camper cabins that are right on the water, and the big pull-through RV sites in a brand new addition to the resort, they're all popular. They're going to sell out, and that's why you need to go right now to mardonresort.com. That's mardonresort.com, where the fish bite, but we don't. Let's start off by talking about wildlife watching. Do you like eagles? Do you want to see lots and lots of bald eagles, as in hundreds of them? Well, one place you can see them is the Skagit River, and you don't necessarily need a boat to see a whole bunch of these majestic birds. According to Kelly Sprout with the U.S. Forest Service, you can drive on Highway 20 in Northwest Washington from Burlington, head to Rockport and Marble Mount, and you'll be where the eagle watching action is. The birds are drawn to the spawning salmon, and if you go to Howard Miller State Park, Milepost 100, and Marble Mount Fish Hatchery during the weekend between 10 and 3, staff members will be on hand to give you information and steer you towards some good places to see the eagles. There's more. Guided interpretive walks are also available at the Skagit Bald Eagle Interpretive Center. That's located at Howard Miller State Park. Those take place at 11 a.m. on Saturdays and Sundays through January, and you can tour the Marble Mount Fish Hatchery from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. during the weekends as well to find out about the salmon those eagles are eating. Both of these tours are free of charge. The Skagit River is not the only place to see eagles during the next month. From Rich Landers with the Spokesman Review, we learned the number of bald eagles is growing as they gather again this winter to feast on kokanee spawning in the northeast corner of Lake Coeur d'Alene. Kerry Hugo with the U.S. Bureau of Land Management counted 66 bald eagles in the Wolf Bay area on December 16th, and that number has undoubtedly grown quite a bit since then. How many of these majestic birds can you expect? Well, last year, 217 eagles were counted at this big North Idaho lake on December 30th. Makes you want to take a road trip with a good camera, doesn't it? Eagle numbers will taper off, though, not long after the new year, as the kokanee finish spawning, so you'll want to make this trip sooner than later. Another place to watch wildlife, especially the big game variety, is the National Bison Range northwest of Missoula. I spoke to Mary at the visitor center there, who confirmed the Witter Road is open, though that can change depending on the weather. If you go right now, there's a good chance you'll see not only the bison that call this range home, but also elk and white-tailed deer, that latter species being quite abundant as of late. Make it a point to drop by the visitor center while you're there, because the exhibits and information is really worth a look. Winter hours are 10 to 2, Monday through Thursday, and they are closed on New Year's Day. Turning our attention to fishing, the Clearwater River has been on fire for steelhead anglers this December. A creel check by Idaho Fish and Game in mid-December found 188 anglers, caught and released 191 steelhead from Lewiston to Orofino. As far as steelheading goes, that's about as good as it gets in terms of a batting average. So get those jigs and slip bobbers and consider making the trip to Lewiston, Idaho. Next up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're heading to the Tri-Cities, actually Pasco, Washington. We're at Griggs in Pasco. We're talking to Tom Moore in the sporting goods section. Tom, how has the walleye fishing been down there on the Columbia and Snake Rivers?
Just this last week, I've had multiple guys coming in and telling me how much it's improved. I had the opportunity to fish myself last Saturday and a week ago Saturday, and it has really picked up quite early this year compared to other years.
This is the time of year when we're talking winter walleye. We're talking about big walleye. What's the biggest one you've seen so far this winter?
That I've seen probably is the one I caught. That isn't even a bragger. The ones that I've heard about, I know there was a 13 and a 16 caught below the mouth of the Snake on Saturday last week. And I've been told there was a 15 the weekend before.
Oh my gosh, that is an incredible walleye. And I know that folks listening to places like Montana are thinking, I want to get into some of these fish. Well, people in Oregon and Washington as well. Let's go ahead and drill down a little bit. Exactly where are people fishing for walleye? I got right below the mouth of the Snake, but are we going all the way down towards Boardman and Umatilla as well?
No, I'm not getting many reports from that far down. The primary area is just below the mouth of the Snake. You follow the Columbia River down below the railroad bridge, and Foundation Island is one of the points that I generally start to fish, and I think many of the others do. And they're fishing all the way down to what they call Buoy 30. And Buoy 30 is right where the Peninsula unit comes out near Boise Cascade. And there's an edge on both sides of the channel that seem to be producing the fish.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about tactics. Exactly, how deep are these fish, and what are you doing to get them in the boat?
Two different reports. I had one fella in just yesterday, and he's been getting 6 to 8 each time he's going out, and he's fishing in the shallower waters. He was fishing in the 25 feet and less, and he's been fishing with Whistler jigs rigged with a stinger hook, and he called them Canadians. Which, interpreting that, is the big night crawlers.
Right.
He's folding them over in half, hooking onto the Whistler jig at the loop of the dividing them in half, and then putting one of the other ends into the stinger hook.
Okay. And what's the other method?
The other method is blade baits, and blade baits probably are more predominant than anything else out there right now. And the colors that seem to be the most popular are gold or brass and the silvers.
And what size are we talking about in terms of the blade baits?
It's all over the board. I think one of the fellows was in a white Mike peg out on 5/8.
Okay.
And I think that's because of the current. And I know he's his first time out, he told me he was using 5/8, and he got 9 fish his first time out.
Wow.
And he's a walleye fisherman, but his first time out blade baiting. Seriously blade baiting.
All right. Well, folks, we got to go, but if you want to go ahead and get the tackle you need and more information about catching winter walleye in the Columbia River near the Tri-Cities, stop in at Griggs in Pasco. They're located at 801 West Columbia. They have a huge sporting goods section there that has not only all the walleye tackle you're going to want, but lots of other gear as well for fishing and hunting. Griggs has been a local sponsor of our show on KONA for several years now. We appreciate them, and you're going to appreciate everything they have when you drop by. That's Griggs and Pasco. Tom, thanks for the updated report. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I'm a jigger. I'm the best jigger around. I'm on a jig. Jig me up a walleye right now.
That's the sound you hear when a fish hits the new Sonic bait fish from Max Lure Company. This metal lure can be cast, trolled, or jigged and will catch just about anything that swims in the sea, the river, or the lake. The Sonic bait fish has a unique vibration and flutter that can be rigged in 7 different ways. With all sorts of eye-catching colors and weights available, you'll be reaching for the Sonic bait fish as your go-to lure. It's the Sonic bait fish. Only from Max Lure Company.
You demand quality performance from your binoculars, whether you use them in the field, on the water, or at a stadium. But you don't want to spend a fortune. That's where the BX McKenzie binoculars from Leupold come in. These armored, waterproof binoculars are both comfortable and dependable. Look for your McKenzie binoculars at quality sporting goods retailers near you, to include your Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, or Northwest Weimar stores. BX McKenzie, bringing your world into sharper focus, only from Leupold.
Wake up to winter in Wallowa County. Grab your camera and don your skis for some Nordic skiing adventure at Salt Creek Summit or Wallowa Lake. Or spend the day on the family-friendly slopes of Fergie Ridge. Or slip into a set of skates and enjoy some time on the ice at our outdoor ice rink. Need to warm up? Then grab a cup of coffee or hot chocolate at one of our fine coffee and confectionery shops. And when evening comes, enjoy some of Wallowa County's fine dining and gaze at the stars before you dream of tomorrow's adventures. Your winter adventure begins at www.wallawacountychamber.com.
Ah, the great outdoors. I'm ready for a great weekend of camping at this remote campground. But first, I think I'll invite my camp neighbors over for a meal of fire-roasted hot dogs and baked beans. Dum-de-dum, dum-de-dum. Hi, neighbors. I just came over to...
Pizza!
Hey, is that pizza you're eating? How did you get pizza out in the middle of nowhere?
Pizza!
Thanks. Oh, this is delicious. A pizza oven operated on a propane canister and another on the top of your camp stove? And they're both made by Camp Chef? I knew Camp Chef made great stuff for outdoors cooking, but this? I've got to get one of these pizza ovens from Camp Chef. No more beans and weenies for this guy. From now on, it's artisan pizza for me when I'm camping.
Pizza!
The Camp Chef Pizza Oven. Bake your own artisan masterpiece on your back patio or at the campground. Find out more at your local sporting goods dealer or at campchef.com.
Psst, yeah, you, the guide, outfitter, or outdoors business owner who's listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Have you ever thought of becoming a sponsor of our show? We've got local sponsor opportunities at all 50 of the stations that carry Northwestern Outdoors every week, and we've got some network opportunities too. If the outdoors is your business, we can help you with your advertising needs. Contact me, John Cruz, through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com for more information. That's northwesternoutdoors.com, helping you get the word out about your outdoors company.
Ducks Unlimited is the leading waterfowl and wetlands conservation organization in the world. Here in Idaho, we've lost nearly 76% of our wetlands. Ducks Unlimited is working to stop that loss. In Idaho alone, DU has restored and conserved over 27,000 acres of wetlands. Learn more about the benefits of wetlands and what Ducks Unlimited is doing for Idaho's future. Visit ducks.org/Idaho.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
As we end the year, it's time to talk about some upcoming events for the new year, and we've got to talk about the sportsman shows. I love sportsman shows. They are so fun. I love visiting with the guides and the outfitters, planning big trips, going to the seminars, learning new things, checking out the attractions with the kids, taking them to the fishing pond, maybe the BB gun range or the archery range, and there's always lots of people you run into in the industry there as well. If you haven't been to one in a while, make it a point to go to one or two or several this year because you're going to have a lot of fun and you're going to walk out energized to go out there and have fun in the great outdoors. The first show of the year is taking place in Billings. It's January 9th to the 11th. It's the Great Rocky Show at Metra Park. People who go to this show really like it. The next one is going to be January 16th to the 18th. It's the Tri-City Sportsman Show. It takes place at the track in Pasco. I love this show. It's not a huge show, but it's a good-sized show, and the Schulers who put it on do a great job, especially when it comes to kids' attractions, seminars, and lots of outfitters. The following weekend is the Washington Sportsman Show. That one's going to take place at the Fairgrounds of Puyallup. That's one of the really big shows, and just about everybody in Western Washington seems to attend that for very good reason. Finally, you can go ahead and see us and a whole lot of other people at the Pacific Northwest Sportsman Show at the Portland Expo Center, February 4th through the 8th. It's the second largest sportsman show in the nation. Now, last year, the weather didn't cooperate a whole lot, but this year, I have a feeling it's going to be better, and I think there's going to be a lot of people, and you're not going to want to miss it. There's no sportsman shows in eastern Idaho during the next month, but there's something else. The Soda Springs Chamber of Commerce is hosting their annual Winter Carnival and Fishing Derby on January 17th from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Fishing Derby is going to actually be held at a pond in Clear Springs, and there's going to be prizes for the biggest trout caught, and these trout can weigh over 9 pounds. There's some monsters that they put in there for this event. Find out more about this Winter Carnival and Fishing Derby by going to sodachamber.com. That's sodachamber.com, and go to the events page. While you're on the web, I hope you go to our website too. It's northwesternoutdoors.com. You'll find more in-depth information about our guests, and in case you missed last week's show, it's there for you. Don't forget our Facebook page, too, Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Over 1,700 people like us and follow us, and we'd love for you to do the same. We're always posting information there that doesn't necessarily make it on the show. You can also catch our show on RenoViolaOutdoors.com. This is a great site. It's WRVO Radio. There's actually 30 outdoors programs that air there 7 days a week. We are proud to be part of the lineup. And if you love outdoors radio like we do, you're going to want to tune in. That's RenoViolaOutdoors.com. That's all for this week. It's been a great year. We've had a lot of fun going places all over the Northwest and to Hawaii as well. And I can't wait for the next year because I've got a feeling when it comes to outdoor recreation, it's going to be even better. So until next time, take care, God bless, Happy New Year, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.